in many places in the Old Testament, it speaks of God's judgments, and then there is a quotation, which if a man do, he shall even live in them. And the question cites Ezekiel 20, verses 11, 13 and 21. Paul comments on this in Romans 10 and verse 5 and says that it is the righteousness which is of the law. The question then is, in this context, what does live by them mean? So let's read then Romans 10 and verse 5. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, but the man which doeth those things shall live by them, or live in them. So there's the question. What does live in them or live by them mean? Now, from our classes in Romans last year, where do we go if we find a difficult passage in Romans? Shout it out, please.
Galatians.
Thank you, I agree. Galatians. This point was made over and over and over again. So compare Romans 10 then with Galatians in chapter 3, please. Because this very verse is expanded in Galatians chapter 3. Galatians chapter 3, and I'm going to read to you from verse 10 through to verse 12. For as many as are under the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But that no man is justified by the law in the sight of God, it is evident. For the just shall live by faith. And the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. So can you see the comparative, first of all, to Romans 10 and verse 5? Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law. That's the idea of being justified. Righteousness and justification are interchangeable terms in the English, often coming from the same Greek words or from the same family of Greek words. So the righteousness of the law, Romans 10 verse 5, is no righteousness at all, says Galatians chapter 3. In fact, it is evident that the righteousness does not come, verse 11 of Galatians 3. No man is justified, accounted righteous by the law. And how do we know that? Well, there's a quote from Habakkuk chapter 2, which says that the just, those that are justified, righteousness, those righteous shall live by faith. Now, what you can't see on the live stream is that I've stacked Galatians 3 verse 11 below Galatians 3 and verse 10. We have two Old Testament quotations. Although the question cited Ezekiel 20, the source for all of those citations is Leviticus 18 and verse 5. So, Galatians 3 and verse 10 quotes Leviticus 18 and verse 5, and that's the top line of text. The man that doeth them shall live in them. The second Old Testament quotation that the Spirit through Paul is comparing is Habakkuk 2 and verse 4. The just shall live by faith. And can you see what the Spirit is doing by comparing these two scriptures, one above the other? The one bit that's missing in the quote from Habakkuk 2 is doing anything at all. The whole argument of Galatians and Romans is between the faith of Jesus Christ and the works of the law. Faith and works. The man, says Leviticus 18, that does the works of the law shall live in them, within the scope, the very, very limited scope of the law. And even then, you're not going to keep it all. So at the end of it all, your judgment is you're worthy of death. There is no salvation at all, and there is no righteousness under the law. But on the other hand, there is salvation in one other. Because it's not the man. It's no longer a man. It's a man that has been justified, one that is accounted righteous. And they're going to live. But it's not within a limited scope of the law. They're going to live eternally by the grace of God. And how is that possible? Because it's not through the works of the law, but by faith, by the faith of Jesus Christ. And Galatians 2 had ended, I do not frustrate the grace of God, for if righteousness come by the law, then Christ is dead in vain. If ever you think you can do anything to earn your own salvation, you are very, very mistaken, says these scriptures. And that's the huge contrast between Leviticus 18 and verse 5 and Habakkuk 2 and verse 4. In this context, there is nothing we can do to earn our salvation. Now, how that plays out with faith and works, well, that's another question altogether.